Welcome to City Corner, an ongoing program where we talk with council and staff about what's happening in our city. I'm Gail Everett with the Communications and Marketing Office, and joining me today is Richland's newest mayor, Ryan Lukson. Welcome, Mayor Lukson.
Thank you so much, Gail, for having me.
You're very welcome. First of all, tell us a bit about yourself and why you've chosen to live in Richland.
Well, I was born and raised in Richland. My dad was a longtime surgeon in Kennewick.
Okay.
At the old KGH, so one of the only surgeons in town back in the 60s. And my mom ran the operating room and emergency department for KGH for a number of years. So have a long family history here in the Tri-Cities, and went to Richland, go Bombers.
Okay.
And ended up, like a lot of kids, leaving town, went over to the University of Washington and got a degree there in business finance, and then decided I want to go to law school, and decided I wanted something completely opposite. So moved to Florida and went down to Florida State, worked down there for a couple years at a large law firm, and ended up just kind of looking at wanting to be closer to family and loved the Tri-Cities, and so ended up moving back here to Richland.
Well, that's awesome. And so that's why you're invested in the community then.
Absolutely.
And is that why you have chosen to run for city council?
Yeah, my day job, I have two jobs, so I get to do the mayor job at night / during the day when the duties overlap. But my main job is I work at the Benton County Prosecutor's Office. So, and not as you would typically think as a criminal prosecutor, but as a civil prosecutor. So I advise the commissioners and the jail and the sheriff on legal issues that come about or defend them in lawsuits and stuff. So it gave me kind of a unique perspective on local government, and I thought about, well, maybe it would be interesting to sit on the other side of the table and not give advice, but actually make some of the decisions. So that was one of the main reasons why I ran.
Okay, that's fabulous. Now, what do you see as your role as being the mayor? That's a big step.
Yeah, obviously running the meetings, making sure everyone gets an opportunity to participate and have their views heard, going to some of the different events and being the voice of the city and trying to present a positive image for the city and do things like lobby for funding for the city from our state government or meet with different interest groups. So I think really just I consider it a leadership position where I can present the interests of the city in the best possible light.
Well, that's awesome. Good. So I know transparency in government and citizen involvement is very important to you. Tell us why this is important and how you think the city's doing.
Well, I think civic involvement is very important. When people come into the council chamber, we actually listen, and it's amazing. I think a lot of people don't understand the impact that it has when they come into council and they present their views and things that they're either upset about or happy about, and that we really do listen and try to make a positive change when they do that. So part of that is being transparent and making sure people understand where we're coming from and that they understand our decision-making process and they understand why we do what we do. So I think without those two things, local government just doesn't work.
Yeah, that's true. Ryan, you've been mayor for 2 months now. Can you share some of the experiences you've had since then?
Yeah, one of the funny things that happened to me in the first couple of weeks as my position of mayor was I did an interview with one of the local TV stations and said in it that I encouraged people to contact me and reach out if they had any questions or concerns, and I was shocked people actually did it. And one of the first people that I met with was a young boy that was in Boy Scouts that had autism, and he didn't get a chance to go to one of the city council meetings and meet with a council member to get one of his badges. So I met with him in a coffee shop and explained to him what council does and what my position of mayor was. And it was just a really cool experience to connect with him and try to give him some understanding of local government and what we do. So it was a neat experience.
That is very neat. So friendly and community minded, and even for a young person to reach out, that's really neat.
Yeah, it was neat to just make an impression on him, I think. So.
Yeah. So you were on the council for a couple years prior to your role as mayor. Tell me how you feel like that experience helped mold you for mayor.
Well, I think a lot of people come in and they think, oh, I'm going to make all these big changes and fix everything overnight. And I personally didn't come in with that view. I really wanted to build relationships. I wanted to build trust. I wanted to learn as much as I possibly could. And then I picked my spots over the first couple of years of where I thought I could use my experience or some skill set that I had to kind of benefit council. So I think I really made a big effort to try to, like I said, build those relationships and gain the trust of my fellow council members, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why they appointed me as mayor.
I think so too, but you had to throw in your name in the hat, right? How hard of a decision was that? Because I know you're busy.
Yeah, it was difficult. Mayor Thompson talked to me and said he wasn't interested in running again, and asked my thoughts on it, and I thought about it a lot, and honestly, it's not something I ever considered. You know, it's not like I grew up wanting to be the mayor of Richland, so it's not nothing I really ever considered doing in the past. But I thought that that I could do a good job, and that I could bring a little bit different perspective. And I think I'm the youngest person ever elected as mayor. So I think it's a little bit different perspective, someone in their late 30s that has on the vision for the city. And so I thought I could make a difference. So I decided to go ahead and put my name in the hat.
That's great. That's really great. So what about your job at the prosecutor's office? How do you think your role there has benefited your role as a mayor? What kind of transitional skills did you bring?
One of the big things that it made me realize is how important building relationships is with neighboring cities and counties. And I think just the relationships I have with people at the county benefits the city in a lot of ways. And I think I've helped strengthen some partnerships and get over some divides that maybe we had in the past. So that perspective, I think, really is an asset as a mayor of Richland, because I understand local government, being a local government attorney. So I understand the way we operate, I understand what we can do, what we can't do, and what's really important. So I can cut through a lot of that maybe a regular council member coming in wouldn't really know.
It would take years to get that experience. Okay. As Richland continues to grow, so does the problems with traffic congestion and shared street use. That's a key word this year. How is the city addressing these concerns, and what else can be done?
Well, I said this a couple weeks ago at a council meeting. It's really a shift in priorities, I think, for people. I think in the 80s and 90s when we were building roads, people didn't think about pedestrians. People didn't really think about bikes. But as the generation kind of shifts, people want more walkability, bikeability. They want a more integrated neighborhood connectivity. So we're really playing kind of catch up with some of the decisions that were made 20, 30 years ago of prioritizing vehicle traffic over pedestrian and bike traffic. So a main issue for council is to revitalize the downtown and make it more walkable and bikeable and integrate the waterfront. So that's something we're trying to achieve, and also just neighborhood connectivity in general, making sure that, you know, whether it's families or individuals are able to walk and bike easier, and just allow different modes of transportation. So I think that's something that's important for all the citizens of Richland going forward.
That's great. We're kind of going back in time, aren't we?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's neat. Citizens recently overturned Richland's funding mechanism for its Transportation Benefits District by passing the $30 car tab initiative. This will hinder the city's pavement preservation program funding and the ability to successfully maintain and improve its roadway system. What are your thoughts and how council can move forward regarding the funding?
Well, council's going to have to make some tough decisions. A lot of people don't understand that 100% of the money that went into the Transportation Benefit District, that $20 car tab fee, went towards pavement preservation. So I think there were a lot of misconceptions early on and miscommunications early on, but that's about $1 million a year that goes into resurfacing our roads. So unfortunately, if we don't find a funding mechanism, our roads over the next 10, 15 years would deteriorate significantly. So we're going to have to make some trade-offs and some tough choices, and cut some services and find some areas where we can get those savings, because without good roads, that's kind of the backbone of the city. So it's something that we really have to invest in, and we don't have a choice.
Right, okay. With the opening of the new City Hall and the preparation of the former site for redevelopment, is council's vision of its core downtown coming to fruition?
I think so. It's a process. Obviously, we need to work on George Washington Way, and we're coming up with some different studies on ways that we can potentially calm the traffic in G Way and really envision downtown, as I was saying before, being more walkable and bikeable. As far as the old City Hall site, and it's really kind of the crown jewel of the city. It's right in the middle of the downtown, and so the council has looked at marketing the property to a bunch of different interests, but we're not going to look for just a run-of-the-mill strip mall or regular project. We really want something grand, and so we're willing to wait and be patient and for that to come. And I think you're going to see some big changes over the next 5 years in downtown. You're already seeing it now with we're going to have in the next probably 6 months, we're going to have the first people actually living downtown. which I think will revitalize some of the local businesses, and it's really all coming together. So I think there's going to be some exciting things coming in the next few years.
That's good to hear. Now, what about the obstacles? What kind of obstacles do you see?
Obviously funding, number one. If we're going to look at reintegrating George Washington Way and Jadwin and trying to find out a way to shift the traffic patterns in downtown so we can make it less of a freeway and more of an actual true downtown and integrate the waterfront, we need money. And part of that's going to be getting funding from the state to try to help carry out council's plan for downtown. And so that's something that we're actively lobbying for right now.
Okay, great. Good to hear. The council has a strategic leadership plan that was approved in 2018. What objectives do you feel are the highest priority in 2020?
Well, obviously, as I've said before, downtown is a huge priority for the council. There's a lot of other things as far as looking at the bypass highway, trying to relieve congestion on that. We're looking at building potentially some overpasses in the next 5 to 10 years to relieve some of the Hanford traffic out there. And then just a myriad of other issues. We want to improve the access to our parks and services. We have some exciting potential interest in a couple properties the city owns on the waterfront that could really change the entire dynamics of that area. And really just looking at ways where we can save money and invest in the future of Richland.
Okay, great. Another topic is public safety. And it's an important component of any community. And we hired a new police chief this past year. You're a strong proponent for our public safety staff. How do you feel Richland is doing in regards to keeping our community safe, and what are some of the biggest challenges?
Well, to start off, Chief Bruce is doing a great job. He's brought a great culture, and from Texas, he's brought in, I think, a different perspective and a different openness, I think, that in some ways I think we needed. So I think he's doing a great job. As far as the public safety tax, I think what's important to realize about that is that it funds 12 officers for our department, and it's without that we just wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things that we're able to now with our crime analyst and with making sure that we're able to respond within reasonable periods of time when people call us. So I think it's really important that we continue to make the citizens aware of how important public safety is and how we need to make sure we properly fund those programs. Okay,
great. Richland is known for its quality of life, expansive park network, and other public amenities. What opportunities still exist to improve on these?
Well, like I said before, we just recently, in the last 5+ years, built John Dam Plaza. We have all sorts of programs running there year round. We're always looking at new ways to expand that programming and to build new parks and new facilities. We have in Badger Mountain South, I think in the next year or so, we're going to be building a new park. So we're continually looking for ways to provide our residents more access to these amenities and improve the amenities that we have right now.
Okay, excellent. You're a long-term Richland resident, and what do you love about this community?
It's funny because I've said this to a couple people before. To me, Richland's kind of like Goldilocks. It's not too big, not too small, just right. So it's funny when people talk about traffic here and some of the problems we have, but we really have all the amenities you want. You have water, you have recreation, you have shopping, you have good restaurants, and there may be a couple things that people want, but with that comes other things that maybe you don't want. So I think when you really take a look and step back, Richland really has everything that you could want.
Yeah, I agree, and really friendly people too.
Absolutely.
I think so. So what do you want Richland citizens to know about their local government? Well,
I think that we're here and that we listen, and that I have an open door policy. I have citizens reach out to me all the time with questions or complaints or concerns, and I always try to get back to them in a timely manner. So I think it's just important for people to realize that we do care and that we do the best we can with the resources we have, and that I'm always here and open to talk and listen.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mayor Lukson, for joining us today. Remember, Richland City Council meets the first and third Tuesdays of each month here at Richland City Hall. Attending meetings is a great way to learn more about your city. Also, if you have any questions about your city, the best place to start is from the city's website at the link below. Thanks for watching this edition of City Corner. I'm Gail Everett.